2023 St. Louis Visionary Awards next on City Corner. Hi, I'm Sarah Thompson and welcome to City Corner. Well, today is a special day. Today is International Women's Day. It's also Women's History Month in March, and so it's the perfect time to talk about the St. Louis Visionary Awards. That's coming up next month, but this is an awards ceremony that honors women in the arts and their outstanding contributions and support of the arts in the St. Louis region. So I'm joined by Roseann Weiss, the chair of the St. Louis Visionary Awards, and almost every time this year we meet and go over what's going to happen at the awards ceremony and talk about the honorees. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited, as I am every year, but I'm excited this year again because we are able to honor 6 more amazing women who work in the arts, or artists, or arts professionals. And you know, the depth and breadth of the arts in St. Louis is beyond what I think most people understand.
Yeah.
And we have this opportunity to come together, and we can actually come together in person, which is a blessing, and have this great celebration of all of the arts in St. Louis, and especially these amazing women.
And I think that's a good way of framing it, because I reflect on this a lot as I get older, where it's like we think we know what something is, or you take a look and you think, oh, there's this museum, or oh, I've gone to check out this, and you think that's the arts in St. Louis. But to your point, with more time, you realize there are just so many levels of people working at a community level. There's teaching artists that are affecting the lives of students. There are today, we're going to meet 2 of your honorees doing performance art. I mean, visual arts, performing arts, supporter of the arts, volunteers. I mean, it goes on and on and on. And like you said, it really is quite deep in St. Louis.
And it is wonderful to be here today on International Women's Day, because the women in our community make an incredible contribution, especially in the arts. And one of the things that we really like to do is to make this visible. As you say, right? There are layers and layers of this. We do a nomination process, and we have it open for a long time because we want people to get the word out. And we want to find that artist that we don't know about, and excuse me, and just be able to honor her.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. We've got some photos I think we can start taking a look at. Oh, sorry.
It's all right.
We can first maybe start off, I think some of the photos we'll take a look, reflect last year's ceremony, and then we can kind of go over, we've got these beautiful portrait shots. So this is the Sun Theater. This is where the award ceremony takes place. It's going to be April 24th.
That's right.
Yeah, so the Sun's been home for the Visionary Awards for a while now.
Yeah, for a long time, at least for the last 5 years. This is the 9th year in our iteration, which I'm very excited about. And it's a beautiful theater. If you've never been there, it's a lovely atmosphere, totally renovated, very beautiful. Again, I think it's a place that's under the radar. So it's perfect for us to be there.
Yeah,
and,
it is very beautiful.
comfortable, easy to get to.
And those are the awards.
The awards themselves, yes. And we were able to honor 6 women with those awards.
Each year. And then I think just some of the photos. There
I am. There's Sarah Burke, who's also one of the founders of, when we refounded the St. Louis Visionary Awards. Sarah Burke and Kim Eberlein were the 2 women who said, this can't go away, we have to keep it.
And when you talk about like the refinding or refound organization, I do remember, if you tell people briefly, the Visionary Awards used to be connected to Grand Center Inc.
It was. And many, many years ago, this is last year's cohort, many years ago, I got one of those awards as an outstanding arts professional. And it was great, but at some point, you know, Grand Center had other things to do. So, which is fine, you know, things move on. But Kim and Sarah said, no, this can't stop. There's too many women who haven't been honored, and there's a whole new generation of women that we need to be able to honor and find and make sure that people understand what's going on and what their contribution is.
Yeah, and so kept it going, and
Yes.
it is really great. It's a great event, and as we say, it's so interesting to learn about just these fascinating women and what they're doing, which leads us to the class of 2023,
Yes.
2023 honorees. So we'll start off, we've got a photo, I think it's a group shot. Each year, this is kind of your publicity photo that you have where
Yes.
we bring everyone's pictured there. And then you can kind of walk us through. So the six honorees and their designations. I know you've got your...
Sure, I have my cheat sheet because I have to have
Let's see
that.
who the first portrait of... here we go. This is actually one of our guests.
That's
coming
right.
up.
This is Janet Park, who's outstanding working artist, and you're going to hear from Janet. She is a wonderful performance artist who literally performs all over the world. And again, I think this is somebody that people will be excited to meet and understand what her work is.
Yeah, Janet is here in studio. So
That's right. She can tell you all about herself. This is Rachel Tibbetts. Rachel's amazing. She's the community impact artist. She is the artistic director for Prison Performing Arts.
Oh, okay.
And
yes.
she's worked for many years with youth in juvenile situations and just is able to literally change people's lives through theater. She's also an actress herself, a director, and you'll see her around town directing original plays and all kinds of wonderful things. We are so excited to be able to honor Rachel. And this is Rosalind Denise Rogers as Outstanding Teaching Artist. Rosalind is in East St. Louis, and she has a wonderful organization called Inner Ear Orchestra. It's a youth orchestra with string instruments. And she provides the instruments and the instruction. And again, this is a situation that has changed people's lives, especially youth. And she's got all the energy that you need to be able to do this, right? So we're very excited about her as well. And this is Sarah Colby, Outstanding Arts Professional. Sarah, there's so many stories about how Sarah has helped people heal. She's with the Arts and Healthcare Department at Barnes Jewish Hospital and has a studio there and has done some amazing exhibitions with the staff and the patients.
Oh, wow.
So it's really an amazing organization, and Sarah's just the perfect person for it. And this is Sheila Suderwalla, who you will also meet.
Nice.
She is our arts innovator. She is executive director of Artists First, which is a studio and instruction situation and education for artists of all abilities. And she'll tell you a lot more about it. It's a very exciting and very wonderful organization that's been around for a while. And again, something that for some people, they may not know about, and I think it's very important for people to know what's going on and to see all of these wonderful artists emerge.
Yeah, no, and Sheila's in studio. It's going to be exciting to talk to her.
Yes, very much so. And this is Shivari Perry, who is our emerging artist. And Shivari, you can tell, she does costume designing and fashion as well as visual art. And she is full of energy, and we are very, very proud to be able to highlight her work.
Yeah. No, it's so exciting. And I will say, even at the ceremony, it's so touching, really, because you see, I think what we, there's so many levels when we talk about the arts. I think sometimes on the administrative side and the bureaucratic side, things tend to get into, like, we talk about funding and the finances to keep it alive. And then there's that other side where it's like the lives that are touched, the impact. And it really runs deep on so many levels, whether it's performance or visual art. And it's just incredibly touching. And what I think the Visionary Awards does so well is picking women in these different areas to say, look at what they've done and how long they've been doing it in some cases, maybe not so long, but the impact that they've had, or just even what's so unique about their craft and their art. You know, it's really special.
One of the things that we love to talk about is the impact of the arts. You know, we have an artist that we designated as an impact artist, but I think every single one of them is impacting people's lives. And I talk a lot about what art can do. You know, art responds, art reflects. You know, art helps us think about the world. Art gives us solace. You know, it helps us figure out what's going on and what we're feeling and what we need. You know, I use this example all the time when we look at what's going on in Ukraine, which, you know, it's such a terrible situation, and you think, how can those people even get up in the morning? And yet there's art still happening. There's an orchestra that will just go into the town square and play. You know, there are murals happening on the walls, even in the midst of a terrible war. People are making art and presenting it, and people need that art. And so I think one of the things that we say is that, you know, these are the visionaries who are making the arts in our community. And we want to make that recognized.
That's very beautiful. It's true. It's such a lovely way of putting it, because it is bringing expression and also bringing people together. And the last bit that we have for this segment, briefly tell, we're going to show the details for the event, but just tell people how the night goes. It starts at 6 p.m. Who your chairs this year?
Oh, yeah, we're so excited. Vanessa Cooksey, who's the CEO and president of the St. Louis Regional Arts Commission, and Kelly Pollack, who is the CEO of the Burgess Family Foundation, and lots of people know Kelly as the former director of COCA. They are our co-hosts, and they are wonderful. They will have a lot of fun, and it'll be great to have them introduce everyone. We start out with the ceremony. So the ceremony is about an hour. We got it down. We have a board member who is our scriptwriter, Marilyn Shepard. Shout out to Marilyn. And everybody has 3 minutes to inspire us all. And believe me, they can inspire us in 3 minutes. We have a little bit of entertainment. This year we have Belle Darris, who is an electric violinist.
Oh, very
Wait
neat.
till you see her.
Yeah.
And then our premier, one of our premier dance companies, Big Muddy, is putting together a performance for us.
That'll be really nice.
So that's going to be great, just great. But we keep it to an hour, and then we're ready for the party. So the party, you go right next door to the tent, and you have a Viz Fizz, and we celebrate and toast our honorees.
No, and I will say that's that people seem to, when you go rush out, I mean, not rush out because of the ceremony, but because they see so many familiar faces.
And they all want to talk.
Socialize. Yeah, everyone wants to talk.
Yeah.
And but it is really neat. Well, congratulations to
Thank you
and the committees and everyone again, and of course to the honorees this year. Really, really eclectic and neat group of people.
They
for
really
sure.
are.
Well, we're going to put up on the screen for you the full page graphic. This is how you can learn more. It's the 2023 St. Louis Visionary Awards. The ceremony is taking place Monday, April 24th at 6 p.m. at the Sun Theater. As Roseann pointed out, it runs for about 2 hours, 6 to 8 p.m. You can find out all the details and tickets and all of that at vizawards.org, and that's where you have bios and information about this year's honorees as well. But we're going to have more. Stay with us. We're actually going to meet with 2 of this year's awardees in our second segment. So we're going to take a quick break, but stay with us because we have more with the St. Louis Visionary Awards. We'll be right back.
There's so many reasons to love St. Louis, you can't pick just one.
What I love about St. Louis is the 79 unique neighborhoods and 108 beautiful city parks, including Forest Park, which is actually larger than Central Park in New York, and the gorgeous Tower Grove Park right here.
And there's always something new to experience, no matter the time of day or the season. So come and experience St. Louis.
It takes less than 1 minute to find out if you may have prediabetes, and you can do it here. So what are you waiting for? Just go to the site.
What I love about St. Louis is the 79 unique neighborhoods nestled into 108 city parks, including Forest Park, which is actually larger than Central Park in New York, and of course, the beautiful Tower Grove Park where I'm at now. Oh, the St. Louis Blues. We've got the St. Louis Surge, 2-time WBCBL champions. We've got Harris Stowe, WashU, St. Louis University, and of course, the 11-time World Series champion, St. Louis Cardinals. So come experience St. Louis.
It's so sad. It's not.
Here, put that on.
If you smoked, this new lung cancer screening could save your life. Visit SaveByTheScan.org.
Hi, I'm Sarah Thompson, and welcome back to City Corner. Today, our show is looking at the 2023 St. Louis Visionary Awards. In the first segment, we talked to Roseann Weiss, the chair of the St. Louis Visionary Awards, and now for the second segment, we're joined by two of this year's honorees. It's my pleasure to introduce Sheila Suderwalla, who is Arts Innovator category designation of the 2023 awardee, and as well as Janet Park, who has the designation of Outstanding Working Artist and is a 2023 honoree. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So no, I appreciate you coming in studio. You know, in the first segment with Roseann, we really set it up to say, what are the Visionary Awards about? Honoring women and their outstanding contributions and support in the arts. And here we are. You are two of the 6 of this year's honorees. Sheila, maybe let's start with you. You're the executive director of Artists First in Maplewood. And I'd love to hear more about, we've got some photos, hear more about the studio and how you got involved as executive director.
Well, Artists First is an inclusive nonprofit art studio. We're open to everyone, but we have designated programs for specific populations that may not have traditionally had access to creative self-expression. So we have evidence-based programs that are population specific. So individuals with a disability. And that could be mental health, cognitive or physical. We have a veterans program, and that's a twofold program. One is for veterans in general, and the other part of that program is specifically for veterans that are currently transitioning. Okay. They're reintegrating into civilian life. We have a program for elders experiencing memory loss, and of course a program for kiddos. So we're open to everyone. We're multimedia. And we are intentionally not an art therapy program. Okay. But we know that the benefits of creative self-expression are therapeutic for all. I'm a social worker.
I saw that with the MSW, and it always stands out. My mom's a social worker, so I love, you know, talking to social workers, and I know the commitment to work, but yeah.
I'm proud to be a social worker. Couldn't imagine doing anything else. But throughout my career, I've always used art with whatever individual or population I was working with. So Artists First is just a very natural next phase in life.
That's wonderful. So when you, how long has Artists First been around? How many years has it
We
been?
actually are going to be celebrating April 29th, our 12th year of creative impact, and that's 12 years since we officially got our 501c3 status from the IRS.
Fantastic. And you know, when we were talking in the first segment about
There's so
impact
many
and how we
reasons to
measure
love St.
impact,
Louis,
you know,
you can't
sometimes
pick
that
just
can
one.
be, we have to sometimes for grants to
Yes.
measure things in a quantitative way. But when your day-to-day work, what do you feel is just at its core the impact that you're having? And I know that's hard to answer in like one question and answer, but for you most especially,
From the
what
arts,
is that?
architecture, and culture.
For me, it's hard to break it down.
Yeah.
But for me, it's going to be twofold. For me, it's going to be Artists First is truly an inclusive, diverse, supportive environment. The minute you walk
all-new
through that
development,
door,
including
or
the
however
Cortex
you come
Community
through
Center.
that door, you are welcomed. And you immediately
And you're
feel
never too far
it
from
is true
great music
diversity
and entertainment.
at its best. The impact is, you know, we measure our impact
and
by
experience
depth,
St.
not
Louis.
necessarily breadth. And we see that daily. So it could be the veteran with unmet mental health needs. Creative self-expression is a very approachable way to start to talk about certain mental health issues. It could be that artist with a disability that hasn't had those opportunities, or because of their different abilities, they've been stereotyped, name called. But when you see the growth and the self-esteem, and not only that, the arts play a huge role in our economy.
Oh, yeah.
And in empowering those financially. So when an artist at Artists First has their work sold, they get a commission. That gives them some financial empowerment. It's a trickle effect throughout our community.
That's great to hear. And I hadn't thought about it from the way you just sort of described it, but the breadth, but looking at the depth and the different programs. I appreciate you sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. And Janet, I mean, here we are talking about the arts and visual arts, and Sheila was just talking about that with the studio. And then here we get to performance art, and your designation is Outstanding Working Artist. And we've got some photos. You have performed here in St. Louis, in Italy, outdoors, indoors. How did this all start for you?
Well, first of all, thank you for invitation, and also I really appreciate that. When I looked at the list of all these previous nominee and awardees, and I could not believe this are all the illustrious names in St. Louis, and some of them are friends and mentors. So I am just really honored to share this name with the past recipient. But I was sitting here thinking about when did I start performing? And actually I started performing when I was 10 years old. So I've been performing, let's say, about 50 years or so. So it's been a long time, but my performance art started about 20 years ago exactly. Before, I was working with the Susan Gash Voice Dance Theater with 10 years, and really they taught me a lot. And then at some point, I was getting older and a little mature, and I just like to really bring some of this fine art to, I want to go closer to the fine art. I want to bring it closer to me. So I decided, okay, well, this is time I need to really just make a little changes in my performance life. So from there, I started doing performance art with the sculpture, especially the very first work was with Andy Warhol's very famous Silver Clouds at here, MoCRA, at St. Louis University.
Yeah, I think while you talk about it, we do have some video that we can play of that. Mm-hmm.
So that really catapulted me into the performance arts. So since then, I've been performing so many different countries, including United States, South Korea, Finland, France, Italy. Especially in Italy, I've been performing in Rome, at Contemporary Art Museum, Napoli, Palazzo Reale. It's an amazing site that I get to only go. And also one of these very memorable sites is Santa Maria Capua Vetere. I don't know whether you heard the movie Spartacus. So this is where actually Spartacus originated. And
I think we have a photo. This is the sort of outdoor Coliseum.
Yes, exactly. And this is one of the oldest Coliseum in Italy, but they were under excavation, so it takes a lot of years and a lot of money. So they were buried under the sand, and it took 16 years. So when they had reopened the facility, whole place, and I was invited to perform. So my experience when I was touching the stone, this whole performance started with the touching the stone and just staying still in my entire body. There's really no gap between my body and the stone of years, really over a couple thousand years old, and you get that kind of connection and experience. And I think people got that. So I get to just go just amazing places.
Yeah, and how that's performance arts. It's always so interesting. I do want to, if we can pull up that photo, if we have it. It's the one where you're outdoors, just because as you were describing it, for people to see. But we can continue the discussion. I mean, you've both been, obviously, you just described, I guess, about 5 decades of performance art dancing, it seemed to allude to. And I know, Sheila, you were talking about, obviously your background as a social worker and training in that, but then being the executive director. I mean, when you look at sort of, this is this thing, and I love your term of, maturing, is there something when you look at your time in the arts so far as like if I only knew then what I know now, or that kind of perspective, what has being in the arts sort of taught you in this way, or something that's changed for you that maybe you didn't necessarily think, or, and it's not to go back necessarily to the impact question, but what's something you really have taken away from having this career in the arts in your own individual and special ways? Think about it.
No, actually, there are really so many, because art is life. Life is an art. So whatever happens to your art personally, and also it takes form of in your life. So for me, there's so many, things I've learned because, for instance, I got here before our promised time. I always get there early so that just in case something happened, you just learn how to be prepared. Same thing when you raise a child. You just have to be prepared because you don't know things are gonna fall apart. Especially what I do, there's no nothing is certain.
Yeah.
And so you just really adapt quickly and just move on to the next step.
Yeah,
and I think that taught me a lot in life, and I utilize that. I was always kind of arriving appointment late when I was in my 20s and 30s, but when you become this serious artist, the time is very important. You just need to get there, you need to deliver, that's a promise that you're making.
And Sheila, did you want to add to anything about that? I know it's a little bit different on the administrative, side.
Well, I think Janet's right. Adaptability was something that came to my mind, especially after the last few years that we've had. And artists are very adaptable. They can be very adaptable. Learning to use the resources available, and that can be non-traditional. So for me as an artist, I like to use other forms than a canvas. I like to use tree bark as my canvas, or a piece of metal, or a found object. I would say though, I've experienced it personally myself, how transformative creative expression can be and how healing it can be. But I think the power of creative self-expression and the impact it can have, not only on the individual, but the community as a whole, is, there's no boundaries to it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate kind of ending on that note, because that is, and both of your careers sort of speak to that too, and there's so much more, and we don't have enough time to kind of cover everything, but I appreciate those words and contributions that you both had to say. I think we could dedicate an entire show to each of you and more, but I appreciate you being here. I want to be sure people can learn more about you, so we're going to put quickly on the screen. This is information about the Visionary Awards. Please go out. You will get a chance to meet and learn more about the honorees. The ceremony does a great job about that, even though I know Roseann said you get your 3 minutes to talk. It is so we learn a little bit more about that. So go get tickets, everything at visawards.org. And then if you want to learn more about Sheila, we've got that graphic for you for Artists First. That's a location on off of Manchester and Maplewood. Head to artistsfirststl.org. And for Janet, you can follow on Instagram, and we've got her handle there at Janet Park Performs, just to see some of her work, her performance art. Thank you both for being here. There's never enough time, but I so appreciate you both being here, and congratulations.
Thank you.
It's just a wonderful award, and just congratulations, and thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you at home for joining us, and keep it right here on STL TV Experience St. Louis.